Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Thank you very much for tuning into another CPT's video. And Blizzard has dropped an update for patch 11.2. More class changes. You didn't think there were enough in the last round? Guess what? There's even more. Some pretty significant ones in this round. So I want to make sure that I was relaying this news to you as it comes through. It was unexpected. It's not very often that we see class changes in on, I think it's a Wednesday. Maybe it's a Monday. I don't know what day it is anymore. Usually these come in on a Thursday or Friday. So this was definitely different. And these are in addition to all the changes that I covered in my previous video, which I'll have linked at the end of this one if you want to review those as well. But for Death Knight, the buff train continues. Exterminate second sight damage is being increased by 20%. Riders of the Apocalypse, Moshorn Menace is being updated. It's going to increase the damage of your Obliterate by 10%, and your Remorseless Winter will last 2 seconds longer. Frost Scythe will now shatter Trollbane's Chains of Ice as well, which is going to give you a nice big AoE shatter. Whitemane's Famine, Frost Scythe now adds a stack to Undeath and spreads it to a nearby enemy. Now, my understanding with Frost Scythe is that this is probably like Mythic Plus trash. It's kind of just an AoE build ability. It's probably like Crimson Tempest or something. I don't know actually how viable it'll be in PvP, but the damage to Obliterate, damage to Remorseless Winter, those types of abilities I think are significant. Sand Lane, they just fixed some bugs to the set bonus. Not too big of a deal to really cover here. Now, Death Knight's receiving a big rework, and they've been getting a lot of feedback regarding it. I tried it a little bit. It feels really cool with the Empowered Rune Weapon having a lower cooldown and multiple charges. Feels like you can cycle through a lot more damage more rapidly, and you've got more decision making as far as you want to like single target or AoE with the Frost Scythe changes that have come through in those environments. But again, in PvP, I'm not sure. They've moved a couple of talents around. Cryogenic Chamber has been updated. When Howling Blast consumes Rime, 15% of the damage it deals is stored in the next cast of Remorseless Winter. No longer replaces Remorseless Winter, so you can get a little bit more stacked up damage towards your AoE. Frozen Dominion has been updated. Pillar of Frost casts Remorseless Winter that lasts 4 seconds longer. Each second hit with Remorseless Winter increases your mastery up to 40% for 16 seconds, or 15 seconds. But it replaces Remorseless Winter, so if you want to lower your keybind density, interested if it has synergy with the 2 second longer one up here. I don't think that's the one that you're playing at the moment. I've got some limited experience on Frost Death Knight, right? I've done a little bit of my 2400 challenge on it, but not a lot. So if you are a main, I'm totally off base with something, please let me know in the comments down below. Frost Reaper has been updated. Obliterate will deal 10% increased damage and has a chance to tether the souls of its target and a nearby enemy to yours. Frost Strike will sever this tether, dealing Shadow Frost damage. This is just a buffed Frost Strike and Obliterate. That's really good. 10% damage, that's really good. Glacial Advance will apply to Razor Ice baseline. Glacial Advance damage has been buffed by 25%, so just getting buffed all around. All Runic Power spenders are now 35 Runic Power, down from 40, so you can spam more. Frost Bane now triggers from Arctic Assault. The tooltip's been updated. Arctic Assault now triggers a Glacial Advance at 60% effectiveness. I don't know if it was 100% before and it's down, because it doesn't say. Frigid Executioner, Runic Empowerment now has a 25% chance to refund an additional rune. It was 20%, so you're getting more refunds, more spam, more damage. Runic Empowerment, each Runic Power spent has a 1.8% chance to generate a rune, and more procs. Frostbound will now reduce the cooldown of Empowered Rune Weapon by 6 seconds, so even more cooldown reduction. Empowered Rune Weapon will no longer incur a GCD, but has its own 0.75 second cooldown on cast. That's probably just to stop you from spamming it and accidentally double tapping it. It's very similar to what they did with Boomkin to Frost DK with a double incarn. Fixed an issue that caused Rage of the Frozen Champion to grant 10% increase chances instead of 15%, such as bug fixes that give you more damage. Frozen Dominion duration will no longer refresh when it gets a stack, and Runic Strikes have been removed. And I'm going to be doing some like in-depth testing on all these classes and the reworks as well, and uploading content for them specifically. This is just kind of like an overarching coverage of them, but it seems like Frost is getting a lot of attention. Hopefully that doesn't just mean random AoE damage. It actually means like some meaningful single target as well. For Chrono Warden, which I think only Prez and Augmentation can play, Tip the Scales is going to have a 60-second cooldown reduction. So is that a big deal as Aug? I feel like everything ties around your Deep Breath. And for Prez, I guess it's just nice. You can just get Tip the Scales, Dream Breaths out a little bit more frequently. Temporal Burst causes Chrono Flames to strike one additional target and repeat 10% additional damage or healing up to a maximum of 400% spell power. And it does feel like it's going to be really tough for them to balance the hero talent trees, right? Because they're buffing Flame Shaper or crap on the changes up above this that they did earlier. This looks like they're trying to tweak these up a little bit as well. So maybe Chrono Warden doesn't totally fall off. Hunter for hero talent tree. Bleak Powder now deals reduced damage beyond 8. It's a little bit AoE cap. Umbral Reach has been updated and now also causes Bleak Powder to apply Black Arrow's periodic effect to each enemy it damages. That's pretty good. you can get a bunch of black arrow dots out. Developers notes, making black arrows periodic damage effect easier to apply should make Phantom Pain substantially easier to use. So this is like a hunter buff here. Your 2-set bonus has been updated. Reduces the cooldown of True Shot or Call to Wild by 30 to 60 seconds. Okay, you're definitely playing Dark Ranger. No longer causes Black Arrow to reduce the cooldown, though, of True Shot or Call to Wild. You just get a flat amount. I guess it would have been maybe more OP because you could apply Black Arrow with this. 4-set bonus has been updated. Now increases Withering Fire Black Arrow damage by 50%. So just big buffs to Dark Ranger. A lot of it AoE, but I think the cooldown reduction there is pretty nice for PvP. Sentinel, Marksmanship, Mana Forge 2-set bonus. Now additionally increases Rapid Fire damage by 25%. Now these are nerfed in PvP, so I do think the cooldown reduction is actually maybe... Oh, actually, that wasn't the set bonus. So some of these, like this one, is maybe not as big of a deal. It's like... It's 70-something% nerfed in PvP. Is like 3% more damage than Rapid Fire. 2-set update now additionally increases Wildfire Bomb by 10%. Boon of Elune Wildfire Bomb initial damage increased by 150%. So there's a big buff to survival. Your 4-set's been updated. No longer causes the Boon of Elune to apply several Sentinel stacks. Now causes the Boon of Elune to be active for the duration of Lunar Storm at 100% effectiveness. So just hunter buffs, DK buffs. Beast Mastery, Wild Speaker has been updated. Dire Beast summoned while Bestial Wrath is active will gain Wild Speaker damage bonus at a reduced duration. So a little bit extra. Just big buffs. Hunter DK big buffs. Frost Mage looks like buffs for Frostfire Hero Talent Tree. Your 2-set bonus will apply to Frostfire Bolt as well as Ice Nova. Pyroblast gets a 200% damage increase as Frost, and it can Splitting Ice, so it's going to cleave. 4-set bonus updated now to show damage values instead of percent effectiveness, so just bug fixes. Spell Slinger chance to trigger was increased, and now also increases splinter damage by 8%. Now hits up to 8 targets, up from 5. So mage buffs. For Sun Fury, this one's been kind of lackluster for a while, at least in PvP. Now increases Spellfire Spear spell damage by 2%, and now also increases Mana Cascade's haste bonus by 0.5 per stack. No longer has a chance to make the Phoenix not consume spheres. Your 4-set bonus now additionally causes exceptional spells cast by your Phoenix to increase the duration of your next Arcane Soul or Hypothermia by an additional 1 second per cast. Flame Quills and Lesser Time Warp duration increased to 13 seconds, was 10 seconds. What is Lesser Time Warp duration? Didn't they remove the Bloodlust proc? Is that what Lesser Time... They just renamed it Lesser Time Warp or something? Kind of hard to interpret this one because like it's nice for Hypothermia, but I wish the Phoenix was just more meaningful. It just casts on random things and it's kind of useless, at least in PvP. If it had better targeting priority, it'd go a long way in terms of viability. But Hypothermia could be interesting in terms of its duration enhancement. For Brewmaster, Walk with the Ox has been updated. Stomp damage has been doubled, and its chance to trigger has been halved. Additionally, it is now also going to reduce the cooldown of Invoke and use WoW, the Black Ox, for 30 seconds per point allocated. So it's just much more significant cooldown. That's probably not a big deal in PvP. Fixed an issue that caused High Lord's Judgment to play an improper animation. So, all right, there. Shadow is getting a big rework on this patch, and that's probably the spec I'm going to check out next, honestly, for like a really specific deep dive. Idol of N'Zoth is now going to trigger at 50 and 100 stacks instead of 25, 50, 75, and 100. So less frequent proccing moments. Insanity generation from 100 stacks of Horrific Visions got reduced. They probably I saw people doing like 20 billion DPS with this thing, so it's going to get nerfed, it looks like. They're reducing all your damage by 4%. They've given you new visuals. Subservient Shadows now increases the duration of summoned minions by 20% instead of 3 seconds. What, instead of 3 seconds? Oh, it's 20% of their base duration. I don't know what that is. Void Weaver. Shadow Word, what is their base duration, if you guys know, for Subservient Shadows? Shadow Word Death from Death's Torment now has a reduced chance to trigger Depths of Shadows. Death Speaker now increases the health threshold of Depths of Shadows, and Subservient Shadows now increases the duration of minions from Depths of Shadows. So a little bit of a power bring down for Shadow. It was looking really strong, so I'm not surprised. Fatebound. Rogue is actually getting some changes. I feel like Rogue almost never gets changes. Fixed an issue that caused the damage bonus from Fatebound coin head flips to be lower than intended, so that's a buff. Fixed an issue where talents that modified your chance for a flip to match the previous flip weren't always working as intended. This fix should be an overall damage increase. Bro, the entire game is bugged. I swear the entire game is bugged, and your class is doing less damage because of it, and you probably lost a game because it's bugged. Because like, what? Okay, this entire thing is bugged, and hopefully now it's not bugged. Mean Streak tooltip has been updated, no longer includes multiple times in a row. This clarifies the behavior that any coin flipped by Dispatch or Envenom is more likely to match the same face as the last flip. Now, the Rogue Hero talent trees have been really especially Fatebound was really passive, so this is just like flat out more damage, which is nice. for sure. For Outlaw, Killing Spree, this is getting a big update, right? It's getting completely changed. It's going to a 3-minute cooldown, and they've updated its icons. Basically, it looks like Reaper's ult in Overwatch. You go da 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 da, and you're just pew-pewing, you know, in a circle. This thing is going to need a PP talent. I want this thing to actually hit hard. They already nerfed survivability on Outlaw. They nerfed the cooldown reduction. Time to give them some cool, flashy spells that actually feel strong to press. And I think Killing Spree is the one. I'm sick and tired of Tickle Spree. Does no damage, and you just laugh at it. If this is a 3-minute cooldown and it's still Tickle Spree, even with the new animation, and you could just stop it because it's a channel now, yeah, it's not going to fly. It's not going to fly. They need some creative PP talents here to make Killing Spree hit hard, not be so easily crowd controlled, and feel really cool when you're pressing it, you know? So you feel like Reaper basically from Overwatch. That's what I want to see with this, because this is one new cool thing that Outlaw's actually getting, and I think it needs a little bit of love. Stormbringer for Shaman, Enhancement Shaman 2-set bonus, now activates Ascendance for 5 seconds every 6, instead of every 6 for every 3 Awakening Storm. So you can just get random Ascendances. That's really good as Enhance, bro. That's really good as Enhance. Oh my god. Because right now you can only get Ascendance once, and so I think it's a 2-minute cooldown now, but oh my god, it's really good. For Elemental, this following spells no longer display their projectile spell effects for allies in dungeons and raids. Lava Burst Overload, so all the overloads. So they're trying to bring down the visual bloat, right? The unicorn vomit that's on the screen, that everybody's sick and tired of seeing. They're going to try and bring it down. I kind of think that they need to look at secondary minions, like maybe imps for demonology, or like the little summon in dire beast for hunter, especially with Call of the Wild, all these extra little pets. Maybe these pets need to be treated like shadowy apparitions and not be targetable. Not have health bars, not be targetable. Something like that, so they're not taking up so much space. They don't have so many health bars. Like, although you can hide the secondary minions, they just take up a lot of space. Because like shadowy apparitions proc a lot as shadow, but you don't really notice it. You're not like, oh my god, my entire screen is shadowy apparitions. Now, if you could target them, you probably would. If they had health bars, you probably would. So I think that could be a nice way to improve the overall animation bloat. Enhancement. Thorm's Invocation now consumes up to 10 stacks of the Maelstrom weapon to cast Tempest. It was consuming only at 10 stacks. So a nice little tweak up here for enhancement, and with the user interface and accessibility, like right here, this is the big one for as far as like the overall UI updates. Spell density feature has been revamped in Ghost of Koresh to increase visual clarity of combat and encounters by reducing spell visual effects that do not communicate important combat information to the player. I don't know, since I'm seeing a bunch of Lava Burst procs in the air, can communicate a lot to you, but in addition to reducing visuals based on frame rate to improve performance, that's another thing. Everything is laggy as hell when there's a ton of players all around and you're in World PvP, Epic BGs, and all these things are just firing off at the same time. It's like everybody's computer is overheating. So this is probably necessary. I would say it was necessary. Not probably, it is necessary. The reduced setting should meet most players' needs to improve visibility of encounter mechanics and performance, and Essential will provide the strongest performance-based reduction to players who need it. Yes! This feature is under active development, and we expect to update it continually going forward. For more information, please see this forum post for feedbacks for spell visual density. So, big update, tons of buffs. Nice update. Really like this about user interface and accessibility. Hopefully we get an update about how rewards are going to work. We don't have to wait till Gamescom in August 25th, because that's the big one that I was waiting for from the starting of the year. It was, what are they doing for the rewards, man? Like, what reward revamp? What's going on? You know, like class change, SA, you know, DK buffs, shadow buffs, nice. What about the rewards? We need to be looking at the rewards. But other than that, that's it for this class update. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.